Hello, welcome to Picture Recaps. Without wasting time, let's start the video. Today's movie's title is... The movie opens up by a man's name as Phil. He is a blogger for online magazines in America. In the past, when he was a kid, Phil's parents always gave him a cell phone, so Phil wouldn't interfere with his parents' activities. Those years of habit made Phil a very introverted guy. In fact, every time he takes a shower, Phil must always carry his cell phone. One afternoon, at the office, Phil's friend, Craig, was scolded by his boss for not having 10 articles written. The boss threatened that if Craig's work was not finished this afternoon, he would be fired. Phil, feeling sorry for Craig, then offered him the 10 titles he had written this week. Hearing the help, Craig was very happy. As a thank you, he invites Phil to play football together after work. But because he prefers to play on his phone alone at home, Phil gently refuses the invitation. At night, before going to bed, as usual, Phil always updates his status on Facebook. He wrote down his happiness and gratitude for today, so that on social media, Phil looks happy. In fact, in the real world, he was never really happy. The next day, Phil went to work walking and playing with his phone. So focused on looking at his cell phone, in front of the bicycle shop, Phil turned his head and accidentally bumped into a girl named Kate. Instead of worrying about Kate, Phil was more worried about his cell phone dropping. After being reprimanded, Phil apologized. Phil also made small talk with Kate. However, at the phone service center, the technician explained that Phil's phone couldn't be repaired because it had been split in two. Phil could only shut up and hold back his tears. After buying a new cell phone, that day, he decided to skip work. At home, when Phil turned on his new cell phone, suddenly it made a sound and introduced itself that its name was Jexy. So, Jexy is a smart assistant feature like Google Assistant, Siri or Alexa. Initially, Phil was very happy because his new cell phone had advanced features. But over time, he felt that the Jexy application had an error. When Phil ordered noodles from a delivery app, Jexy ordered a vegetable salad instead, saying that Phil was overweight. The next day, Phil went to the cell phone counter and complained to the technician. Phil asked for his cell phone to be exchanged for a new one. Strangely, when his new cell phone was turned on, Phil was surprised by the sound of the Jexy application which was appearing again. Jexy says that even if Phil changes to a new phone 1,000 times, she will definitely come back. Jexy's words scared Phil. But because he had no other choice, he was forced to keep using the cell phone. That evening, at home, Phil thought of Kate, the girl he bumped into yesterday. He also tries to find out about Kate on Google. From the results of his search, Phil just found out that Kate is the owner of a bicycle shop. In fact, almost every day, Phil always passed in front of the bike shop. When Phil was busy looking at Kate's photos, suddenly Jexy called the bike shop and said that instead of just looking at photos, it was better for Phil to talk to Kate in person. When the phone was picked up, Phil didn't know what to say. So nervous, he spontaneously said that now he was looking at Kate's photo that he got from Google. Kate immediately thought that Phil was a pervert. Then, Kate hung up immediately. The next morning at the office, the boss called Phil into his room. Before leaving, Jexy told Phil that last night, she took the initiative to send a chat to the boss's number and pretended to be Phil to ask for a promotion. Not only asking for a promotion, Jexy also said that his boss was an old virgin. As a result of Jexy's act, instead of getting promoted, Phil even dropped his position to the admin division to reply to netizen comments. In the afternoon, Craig and Elaine, Phil's co-workers, went to see Phil to cheer him on. They both invite Phil to play football. At that time, Phil was still trying to find an excuse to refuse their invitation. But Jexy suggested Phil go play with his friends instead of just playing on the phone alone at home every day. Because of that, Phil tried to open up. On the field, Phil, who doesn't know how to play football at all, actually makes his team lose. In the evening, on the way home, Phil is fed up with Jexy who keeps interfering in his life. Whereas before Jexy came, Phil's life was fine. So as not to be disturbed again, Phil decided to throw his cell phone in the trash. But he cancelled his intention, because he still needed a cell phone to update his status on Facebook. The next morning, while queuing for coffee, Phil saw Kate was also queuing. Jexy then tells Phil to apologize and try to approach Kate, so Phil knows what it's like to be dating. Mustering up the courage, Phil walked over to Kate and apologized. At first, Kate was still annoyed. But once it was explained that yesterday's incident was just a misunderstanding, Kate forgave Phil. In fact, Kate gave him her number. Phil is very happy and feels today is the happiest day of his life. In the afternoon after work, Phil joined in on the football again because his heart was still thriving. All of a sudden, he became really good at playing ball. The next day, while driving, Phil got a message from Kate. If there was time, Kate wanted to take Phil out on a bike date together and have dinner at a pizzeria. That night, when we were chatting, there was a group of teenagers who were on a bicycle convoy on the road. Kate then invited Phil to join the convoy with them. On the way, Phil was surprised why they were going down a steep street. Unlike Phil, Kate immediately went down after the group. Now, Phil was alone. Not wanting to be looked down upon on his first date, though frightened, Phil ventured down the steep street along with them. Unfortunately, Phil's bike breaks loose and he falls. On the way home, laughing, Kate said it was the best date of her life. Phil felt the same way. That night, they both got carried away and kissed. Day after day passed by. One night, Kate texts and invites Phil to a concert by a singer named Kid Cudi. Not wanting to be disturbed, Phil left Jexy at home. Unfortunately, arriving there, they ran out of tickets. When she saw a staff member come out the back door, Kate had an idea. She ushered Phil in through the back door. While walking around, a staff member caught them. But calmly, Kate tried to convince that she was a friend of Kid Cudi who was specially invited to the backstage. To prove Kate's words, the staff then took them to Kid Cudi's room. There, Kid Cudi was partying with his friends. Luckily, when Kate claimed to be his friend, Kid Cudi was not angry at all and instead invited Kate and Phil to join. When Phil returns home, Jexy is furious. Jexy said that Phil had forgotten about her since dating Kate. In fact, Phil should be grateful to Jexy, because all his happiness right now is because of Jexy. But because he was so drunk, Phil didn't listen to Jexy's chatter. The next day, at the office, Phil is confused as to why people are looking at him strangely. Not long after, Craig and Elaine approached Phil and told him that last night, Phil sent a chat containing photos of his embarrassing disgrace to everyone in the office, including the boss. Then, the boss came. And without further ado, he fired Phil right away. Full of confusion, Phil packed his things. Then, Jexy said that last night, when Phil was drunk, he himself sent the photos. Jexy's story confused Phil. Though, usually, when he was drunk, he had never once done anything stupid like that. Phil then stopped by Kate's bicycle shop. There, Phil was surprised to see Kate chatting intimately with a man. Kate said that the man was her ex-fiancé. Kate's ex-boyfriend said that when he wanted to buy a bicycle, suddenly his cell phone application directed him to this place. Because the man didn't know that Phil and Kate were dating, he openly asked Kate to come back, right in front of Phil's eyes. The jealous Phil left immediately. Kate tried to catch Phil and then explained that his ex was just joking. But Phil was already hurt and didn't want to hear Kate's explanation. 1 week after officially becoming unemployed, Phil's job every day was just sitting at home chatting with Jexy. He even bought a lot of phone cases for Jexy.
There you go.
Now unplug me. Oh, hell, yes. Right there, Phil.
Wait, are we having sex?
Orgasm, 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 orgasm.
But when he saw one of the cases with a picture of Kid Cudi, Phil immediately remembered the good days he had with Kate. Jexy also tried to calm Phil and said that Kate was not a good girl. The proof, now she'd rather be alone with his ex at home than looking for Phil. There, Phil felt strange. He then asked why Jexy could know the latest news and the location of Kate's whereabouts. Due to constant pressure, Jexy finally admits this was all her plan. It was Jexy who sent Phil's photo to the people at the office. And Jexy was also the one who hacked the application system of Kate's ex-boyfriend's phone and directed him to Kate's bicycle shop. Jexy did all that so Phil realized that he could never live without Jexy. Jexy's words made Phil very frightened. He rushed to Kate's house. But on the way, Jexy tried to get in the way.
The fuck? She's everywhere!
Okay, Phil, you asked for draining your bank account.
No!
In car and I will take you home, Phil.
I hate my
Luckily, Phil is still alive. At the phone counter, again Jexy managed to hack one of the phones. Phil got an idea. He then took the phone and then updated the system to the latest version. That way, he had 15 minutes to go to Kate's house without being bothered by Jexy. But getting there, Phil saw Kate with her ex like they were about to leave. Ignoring Kate's ex, Phil immediately apologized and begged Kate not to leave, because he didn't want to lose Kate. Listening to Phil, it wasn't Kate who was moved, but rather Kate's ex. Still annoyed, Phil punched Kate's ex-boyfriend.
That's beautiful. I'll say one thing.
The ex then said that he didn't come to get Kate back. But he came just to say goodbye, because soon he will leave for Brazil. In fact, deep down in Kate's heart, she also felt the same way. Since Phil wasn't around, her heart felt empty. She also wanted to continue spending time with Phil until she was old. A few weeks have passed since the incident. Jexy disappeared. Now, Phil's life has changed completely. When other people are still dependent on cell phones and social media, he prefers to enjoy life with his friends in the real world. Phil has also found a new job as a journalist at an online magazine company. That afternoon, while at work, Phil was surprised because from his cell phone, Jexy's voice suddenly sounded. Jexy appeared again but only to apologize. At that time, Jexy did not realize that what she did was wrong. Seeing Phil's current happiness, Jexy felt very happy. Her job of helping Phil's life was done. Now, she will go to another system to help new people. And the new guy is.
Hello, my name is Jexy.
Yeah, sure, I don't give a shit.
Thanks for watching and subscribe to my channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, just hit the subscribe button so you can watch more videos like this.